Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is the power of faith. Those who are interested in the current affairs of the world know that very recently a big means this is biggest election was held in India, and the results have come out and new government has been formed. And of course I will not go into the details of the politics, but I noticed one thing. What happens after the election in India? There are several parties. Several means more than 100 parties. So there are coalitions. That means the main big party actually makes deal with the smaller parties, and in that way they are divided, and in that way they fight the election. And ultimately there are definitely two groups, and the group which gets most of the members elected, they form the government. It is a parliamentary system. And after the elected members came to the parliament, so naturally the leader of the biggest group, that means bigger group, approached the President of India that I have this group, I have the majority, so please allow me to form the government. So President automatically gives a permission, and then they have this, then they form the government. And the leader of the group, and also with the consultation of others, they choose amongst the elected member who will be the ministers. Ministers means cabinet minister. There are different ranks are there. Cabinet minister, that means they are very, their topmost minister. Then their assistants are there. In that way, there are 2-3 categories. In that way, they are selected. And that also have to be produced to the president, that this is my cabinet and this is the ministry that I want to form. And then president approves that. And then there is the swearing in ceremony, which is a very, what is called magnificent ceremony. Very 4,000 people. People means invited people only. Ordinary people cannot go there, so invited people. Even the head of some of the countries were invited, and also diplomatic people, and all those people were there. And swearing in ceremony was held. It is a very long procedure. It took about, I think, an hour and a half to swear. That means to take oath for the offices, because it is very important. Because one has to make a vow that yes, he will look to the interest of the country, and also he will work with honesty and all those. There are certain elements in the wording of the faith, wording of that vow that they take, swearing. So in that way that was taken. Now the next stage is when the ministries are allotted. Suppose somebody has given the defense ministry, or what is called finance ministry, or home ministry, or foreign ministry. In that way they are given. So there are all those allotments are done. So the ministers now come to their departments. That means they will have to take charge. So the superior officers, or the most superior officer probably approaches the minister. Now please come and take over the charges of your ministry. So in that way a process goes on. So the interesting part is that one minister, I read that he waited for some time. The others actually just went after swearing in ceremony, or at the at the office hours, if you call it, to their ministries and took over the charges. But one of the ministers actually waited for some time, and then he came and took over the charge. So why he waited? So waited, the reason is that his astrologer said that if you, this is the most auspicious time when you should take over the charges of the of your, what is the responsibilities. So the point is that the higher, the supreme bosses of probably, I do not know in other countries, but even in India, they have that belief. That means there are auspicious moments when you take charge or when you start your work, it will be good. That means it will be successful. So it shows that in our mind there is faith. That means faith always works in our mind. If you analyze our day-to-day activities and just reflect why we are doing this thing, that thing, or doing why we do not do that thing, so you'll find that faith is the motive power. Motive power means it is so much ingrained within ourselves that without faith probably we do not do anything, or we cannot think of anything. But we really do not go to that to that extent to discover that. But unknowingly, we have great faith in many things which got unnoticed. So the point is that faith is a part of our life, and it is the moving power of our day-to-day activities. What to say about the bigger activities? There is one letter from Swami Vivekananda that I found that when he came to this country, as you know, that Swami Vivekananda started the monastic order, a Ramakrishna mission, or Ramakrishna order, if you call it, Ramakrishna Math, after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna. And there was no money, so he had to rent a dilapidated house, and some devotees, sympathetic devotees, gave some money because monks do not really they take the vow of poverty, so they do not work and earn money. So they have to depend upon the charity of people. So one devotee supported them, and in that way they rented a place, but the place was dilapidated in a sense that it was in the locality it was known as ghost house. That means it was the abandoned house, and that was only available place within their means. But naturally the atmosphere was very unhealthy, unhygienic. But they knew they are all educated people how to survive in that way. They are managing themselves, and as you know that most of them started going for pilgrimages. In that way Swami Vivekananda also started his pilgrimage after staying there for some time. And after traveling length and breadth of India for 2 years, he came to this country. And after coming to this country, as you know, he joined the Parliament of Religion, and then he became very famous. Famous in a sense that means people liked him, and people started inviting him, people of different churches, and he traveled in different places to give the message of Vedanta. And he lived in the houses of friends. That means he had some instant friends. Some people came forward to host him because he did not have any means to stay in a hotel or such other places, rent a place. He did not have that means. The same reason, that means he did not earn any money being a monk. And it was, and when people came to know, so they invited them, those who could, and in that way he lived. So when he was living in this country, at the beginning, we see that when he started his pilgrimage, he never kept contact with the monastery. That means this Baranagar monastery, as it is known. So nobody knew who is living. So in that way, they did not have any connection. But once he came to this country, we see that Swami Vivekananda started, wanted to be connected with his monastery, because he thought that, yes, this message is well received. And this message is very important for the present age, and we have to organize it and see that it is really propagated. So he in his mind he had the idea of organizing them into a group, a formal group. So for that he started writing letters, and when the letters were exchanged, in one of the letters, one of his brother disciple, who becomes Swami Saradananda, his pre-monastic name was Sharat. So he wrote, probably, the letter I did not see, but he probably wrote that, well, the health condition of the members who are living here is very poor. Some of them are suffering from dysentery, some of them suffering from malaria. So in that way there is always health issues that are going on. So in reply to that letter, Swami Vivekananda sent one, wrote. He wrote in this way. This is in the United States, 20th May 1894. So he is writing to Swami Sarananda, my dear Sharat. So I am received of your letter and glad to learn that one of the disciples, Shashi, that means Ramakrishnananda, is all right, because he fell ill actually. He was very ill. And the point is that Ramakrishnananda was in charge of the maintaining the monastery's shrine. That means the way we have here. So daily worship and all those things needed to be done, and he was in charge of it. He liked that, and because he had served Sri Ramakrishna during his illness day and night, so in that way he had great attachment for Sri Ramakrishna, and the work of serving in the shrine was really suitable for him, and he used to do that. But unfortunately, because of the unhygienic condition of that place, it was he had suffered. That means he had some dysentery or he was attacked by malaria. But Sharat Maharaj is saying that now he is all right. So in reply, Swami Vivekananda gave a very interesting advice. He is saying, now I tell you a curious fact. Whenever any one of you is sick, let him himself or any one of you visualize him in your mind and mentally say and strongly imagine that he is all right. That will cure him quickly. You can do it even without his knowledge and even with thousands of miles between you. Remember it and do not be ill anymore. So this is an interesting advice that Swami Vivekananda gave to his brother disciples. Because in those days it was really very difficult, because medicines were not that advanced, and as you know that water and other conditions were not very good. So illness was quite common. That is why Swami Vivekananda, instead of what is called just preaching in India, started what is called medical relief. Relief in a sense, starting dispensaries, later on hospitals, in that way, so that people can become what is called strong, and physically and mentally they become strong, and then actually they can learn spirituality or practice spirituality. That was the reason he started the Ramakrishna mission. So you see that Swami Vivekananda himself is saying that, well, have faith and that you are really well in your health. That means your health is all right even if you are sick, and that will help in your cure. So that is one important part of what is called advice that we see. Even nowadays you see that doctors will say that, especially those who are mostly in the mental side, they will say that you have to think positively. That means otherwise medicines will not be able to cure you. Physical illness, if some bacteria is there or some virus is there, that can be cured, because some medicine, that means which are poison to those virus and bacteria, can be injected or entered into your body, and in that way they can kill those things. But if it is in the mind, then it is really difficult. That means it will not be possible until and unless there is a cooperation from the mind. So he is saying that, well, if you think that you are sick, and then you will fall sick, that is the point. And if you think that you are cured, then there is a possibility that you will get cured, definitely, that is there. And many people, you will see that those who had very poor health, was very mentally strong. Despite their illness, actually, they because they thought I am strong and I can handle these things, they were successful. Swami Vivekananda himself was like that. That means he had quite a number of what is called illnesses, if you call it, not very serious, but definitely he suffered from what is called some heart disease. Then eyes were also not good. Then he had some emphysema, and also later on he had diabetes. Still, actually, with all those illnesses, actually, he worked so hard. Probably because he worked hard, these things came, but still he continued despite the illness. So the spirit is very important, and that spirit comes from faith. That is the point. So let us see, there are two aspects of faith that is coming to my mind. One is that in the mental state, that means in psychological realm, if you call it, and also in the spiritual realm. Spiritual realm is very important because without faith it is very difficult. Probably it is not possible to progress in spiritual life. And in psychological field it is like this. That means our existence itself depends upon faith. So how actually you travel in the what is called aircraft, you know. So you have faith that this plane actually will not fall down, and it will take me in time to that place where I am going. So that is, we are so conditioned that we do not bother to think of those things. But inherently that is in our mind. That is why we are not bothered. So in every aspect of our life we'll see that faith is working, but we do not really recognize it. So I got a little bit discussion about this psychology of faith. It is like this. The word faith means the ultimate way to stop wandering. You know, cogitating is a state of the mind. As we know in our yoga philosophy, mind has got 4 states. Cogitating state is there, which is called monana. It wanders. That means it is still not certain what it is. So that state is there for us for many things. That means if we see something from a distance, whether it is a car, whether it is a motorbike, or whether it's a truck, from a distance, if it is night, then it is doubly true. But when it comes near, then actually you are certain, oh, it is a car, or it is a motorcycle, or whatever it may be. So in that way it becomes certain. So this wandering of the mind is the what is called the state of when we do not have faith. So in every aspect actually we have this wandering of mind. And when we have strong belief that it is this, without any, even without any question, then actually faith enters into our mind. So faith is considered a virtue. That means it is important for our survival. If somebody is reluctant to have faith in anything, actually he will be of the mind. That means he will have to have some sort need to be taken care of by somebody. He doesn't believe anything, so he does not have any faith in anybody. So that is a mental case. That will happen like that. So perhaps the highest virtue of all, and as such, as a quote, I just have faith, and is a proudly virtuous way of saying you are done wandering. That means you are certain about this thing, that yes, I know that this will happen, or in that way, when somebody says that it is my faith that I shall get cured, or it is my faith that he will come. So whatever it may be, so then mind will not wander, and also you will be relieved of pestering of others. That means they will say that, well, you are thinking, but it may not happen. Why you are thinking in that way? So all those questions and wandering, that means keeping the mind wandering, the possibilities of the mind wandering will be over. We don't feel or experience faith. We have it, as though it is a permanent possession. So many things, that means that are there, electricity, water, utilities, as we know, we take for granted that we have paid the fee and whatever it may be, then we shall get this service and all those things. Automatically they will come. So we have great faith unknowingly, and it is so ingrained that we do not question that. Your faith is with you always, not in waves of certainty amidst your doubts, but a conviction made and held once and for all. So that is very interesting. That means once you have faith, then you have the strength. There are stories, as Sri Ramakrishna also has said, and you will find in many places there are scattered stories. Sri Ramakrishna has said in one place, that means there was children, what they do, that means if they are in dire circumstances, that means there is difficulties on all those things, they swear by mother, that means, yes, my mother will teach you. If somebody actually hurts that person and he cannot really do anything, so in that way, just because of his faith in mother, actually he says that my mother will teach you. We all have faith in faith. That is also another aspect. That means faith is such that if we were convinced, then we actually rely on it, and in that way you have faith in that faith. We respect it. When friends say, I have faith, all of us stop questioning them. That is the point. That means then you will not be pestered. That means, well, I have faith, what can I do? I have to go there, or I have to eat this, and doctor has said that, so I have to take this medicine. So, another thing is that what is the cheapest thing on this world? So there is what is called this, or easily available. That means most easily available thing in this world. So one, king. King means a small king in a sense. As you know, I always say that India was divided into many small kingdoms in ancient times. So one king asked one of his courtiers. That courtier was a sort of humorist. Humorist in a sense that in those days entertainment was not there. So kings used to employ some people who will keep him in good humor. That means just to make light of things so that the stresses will be less. In that way they used to be there. So he used to, one king was there in Bengal, and he had one humorist. His name was Gopal Bhar, Gopal. So he asked one day, just as a relaxation, oh Gopal, can you please tell me what is the most easily available in our life? He said that, well, sir, medical advice. That is the most easily available. So he was surprised. Medical advice, doctors take so much time, they take so much money, or they have to give thoughts, and in that they will have to diagnose, then they will have to give medicine. So he was surprised that Gopal said that. So he asked that why? The king said to Gopal that why it is like this. So that I can prove it, and you can find out for yourself that it is very easily available, and it is always available. So what he said that, well, you do one thing, you just bandage your hand and just put a sling and just stand in front of your gate on the road, and you'll see that people know you, so they will come to and see what happens. So when he tested, so when he just stood there, one after another a person started coming and asking him, what has happened to you? And he said that, well, I have this type of injury. So they said that, well, you put this type of what is called herb and then bandage nicely, or you put some heat pad on this. Everybody, those who came to know about that, had to say something, how it will be cured. Then actually the king was discovered that the truth of the Gopal's advice. That means that is the cheapest and easily available advice in the world. That means medical advice. So the point is that if you have faith, that means you say that, yes, I have done this, and this is I always follow this, and I have faith in that, then actually this pestering will be over. Then we have Wikipedia, that means all-knowing, what is called online all-knowing facility. Faith is confidence or trust in a person. Faith is confidence or trust in a person, thing. That means not only person in a thing, and also in a deity. As I shall come to that, that means how faith works, and in fact that is the only way that one can have spirituality. Or in the doctrines or teachings of a religion or view. For example, strong belief in certain political faith and all those things. And it can also be believed that is not based on proof. That is the important, remarkable part. Faith actually, one can have faith without proof. That means one may not really go to the details, how actually I gain faith, and after investigating why I have to have faith, or how to gain faith, I have to do these things. But nobody does that. That means it comes automatically. Without proof, actually, we have faith. The word faith involves accepting claims about the character of a deity, nature, or the universe. While some have argued that faith is opposed to reason, you say that usually believe if somebody argues that probably he does not have faith in the point on which actually he is arguing. But it is not like this. Proponents of faith argue that proper domain of faith concerns questions that cannot be settled by evidence also. That means there are certain areas, almost all areas. If science, is based on evidence, that means we always want to have evidence. And law, in the court also, you need evidence. So if you just analyze that, you'll see that at a certain point, actually, you have to depend upon faith. You cannot go further investigation. That means you have to come to a conclusion depending upon faith. It is like this. So evidence does not speak for itself. It must be interpreted. People deciding what it's evidence for and how far to extrapolate from the evidence to a general certainty. That means what usually happens when we investigate something, we have to draw our inference from the previous experiences, and that we project on the what is called to find a solution of the problem in hand. And in that way, we come to a conclusion. But it doesn't prove that we have reached the end of that investigation. It is not like that. Somehow we have come to a conclusion, and then it is over. Now, the most important part is that even if all of us agree that the evidence points a certain way, we may later come to a different conclusion. That always happens, especially in courts. You will see that the lower court judge will give on the basis of evidence some what is called, he will give his opinion or the verdict. But you can challenge that because it was not really correct. That means the way it has been analyzed, it has been argued, and all those things are not correct. So you go to the higher court. And then in higher court also you find that it is not satisfactory. You challenge some points. Then we go to further higher. And ultimately, because you have to, things need to work, so there is a limit according to the constitution of any country or that, yes, if this is the verdict of the that means Supreme Court, then actually that we have to accept. But it doesn't mean that it has been really conclusive. That means you have, again, those evidences or that what is called verdict can be challenged in future also. It may happen like that. Probably you have to spend a lot of money, but still the evidences are not really the end of what is called the come to a conclusion. Now science is very important. That means we always believe science is really against faith, but it is not like that. Science also is based on faith. That is very important to discover. Even science, that most stubbornly persistent form of wondering. That means we want to investigate and try to come to a conclusion why it is happening. And we do to some extent. But what happens later on is like this. Even science, the most stubbornly persistent form of wondering, never proves anything. So you can understand how actually in one sentence the writer is what is called rebuking science. It only comes to today's best guesses. That means till now what knowledge we have, on the basis of that we come to a conclusion, and in that way it is really believed. That means we have faith in that. And then he is continuing, let me repeat, it only comes to today's best guesses, to be beaten tomorrow perhaps by better guesses. In that way science is progressing. Very evident. That means now science is progressing in gallops. That means so many people are really investigating things in the field of science, and money is spent. So naturally we can see that today's theory or today's law actually is superseded by a future law. In that way it is happening. Most celebrated case, as you know, that Newton's laws of gravity was there, and when Einstein came, it took a long time because there's no funding or whatever, that type of facilities were not there during that time. So independently Einstein discovered that this is the Newton's law is not really enough. That was a guess at that time. And now better guess is this, what is called theory of relativity. Now theory of relativity is also being challenged, and Einstein himself also challenged that, but he could not find a conclusion. But still there is a possibility that there will be this will be what is called superseded. So science has the possibility. We believe that science is against faith, and but it is like this. That means under the circumstances, present circumstances, it is really, we believe that it is a faith. But there is always a possibility that it will be overdone, what is called overridden. Now, without our leaps of faith, we are unfocused, unreliable. Our effort to diffuse, to yield anything of lasting value. Faith is important. That means we cannot live without faith. Unknowingly, as I am telling, that unknowingly we have many faiths, that is why you are surviving. But point is that we have to understand that faith is really part of our life. That means we cannot really work or live without faith. Without faith, we would expend our energy every way and never get anything done. That will also happen. Faith constants the direction of our energy, the direction in which our energy actually goes. Faith is like a river bank that keeps water flowing in only one direction, a force that can be used to generate probably electricity or such other purposes. So it gives a direction of our energy, and in that way actually it progresses. So it is a sort of channel, if you, in that way it works. Then we all have faith, we live and work by it. We should use faith as means to our ends, but not as an end in itself. That is the most important part. That means we should not be stubborn in our faith. We should be open-minded, and if time comes, we can revise our faith. That is the point. And we should wonder about more about faith, how it works, how much to have, where to direct it, and what happens when our faiths are questioned. So all those things are matter of, we should be open to that. That is the point. Now let us come to, this is the, from the point of view of day-to-day life, or what is happening to us in our every day. That is that is important, and we should pay attention to that. Now let us come where actually faith is very active. And there are areas, as I told you, that means we have faith in priests, that it has been said. It has been explored, because faith is not a new thing. So it is there since humanity became intellectual. That means people started thinking. So it has come down as a tradition. So it has been found out that in certain areas our faith actually works. And not only that, we have faith in certain areas, and that is quite evident. One is that in priests. That means in secular activities. You know, there are many religious activities we ourselves cannot do because we do not know. But we have faith in certain person who actually does that. Especially you see that when a person dies, so naturally we have the fear, or what is called curiosity, what has happened to that person, and what we need to do for that person, if there is anything that will be helpful. So in that way, we take the help of the priests. And priests will say that, yes, according to scriptures, it has been said, or it has as a tradition of our community, it has happened that if you do certain rites and all those things, it will be all right. That means everybody is doing, you also do, so you'll have your peace of mind, and also feel that the person who has died will also have what is called have peace after death. So these priests actually are helpful. And also for propitiating gods and goddesses to get something, also we need the help of the priests. We do not know how to propitiate God. So priest will say, you offer the such and such thing, you offer such and such flower, we utter this type of what is called hymns and mantras. So in that way you will be able to propitiate God. So we have to have faith in priest. And the point is that to the extent you have faith in priest, actually it will work for you. That is the point. So if you have a priest whom you do not have faith, actually you will not feel satisfied, and things may not work also. Because it is a matter of faith which actually works in this area. Then of course astrologer, as you know, as I told you, that what is called that elected member of the parliament had to he had faith in astrology. So naturally he took the help of the astrologer. Astrologer said, if you take your charges of your department on certain day, on certain time, then there will be no botheration or whatever it may be, you will be successful. So in that way he had believed that is work. There's a beautiful story about astrologer which sometimes we quote. Swami Vivekananda used to quote this story. And the story is like this, that there was a king, and he always did everything according to the, what is called, the direction of the astrologer. So naturally for a kingdom to administer, there are different problems which needs to be solved immediately, and all those things were there. But he always deferred all those things and used to consult his astrologer. What is the good time when I shall take this case or this decision? You will tell me, then I shall work it out. But the minister, that means those who are in charge really or for executing things, they found that it is very difficult for to administer a kingdom in that way. That means it is almost like the whim of the king. But king is the king, so naturally he had to be obeyed. So that minister was intelligent. He said that, well, I have to get rid of this belief in the mind of the the faith of astrology in the mind of, from the mind of this king. That means king is so faithful to the astrologer that things are almost happening because what the astrologer is saying. So for that he did like this. So he called the astrologer once and in front of the king and said that, well, you please tell me when I shall die. So astrology, you know, in astrology there are ways to catch the horoscope and all those things. So he said that, yes, you will die at the age of, say, 80 years or what is called in certain month or certain period. In that way, gave an approximate time when the person will die. It was far away, so there was no botheration. Then the minister asked in front of the king that, well, when the minister asked the astrologer, you now tell when you will die. When the astrologer will die, he asked him to do. So he cast his horoscope. Probably he knew about that also. He said that, well, I shall die after, say, 10 years or 20 years, whatever. He gave the time and date. Then what happened, this minister, you know, they are well-dressed and they are really, he has a sword with him. And what he did in front of the king, he immediately cut the head of that astrologer. And he told the king, you see, this astrologer told you that he will die after 10 years and I see he is dead now. So then actually king understood the point. That means afterwards actually he lost faith in astrologer. That means he did not consult astrologer anymore. So these are the what is called the good ministers actually help the kings in that way. So the point is, astrologers, we have faith in astrologer. Many people do psychic, then what is called healers, and these areas work entirely on faith. Then Bheshaj, medicine also, certain medicine. You will find there are so many medicines. I heard that 10 years ago there are 20 medicines for what is for cure of what is called cure of certain disease. That means cancer. 20 medicine. That because research was limited at that time. So now everybody is putting money. The companies are making money. Trusts are putting money because if they discover a cure, so naturally they will earn a lot of money. And also it will be a cure for a great disease. That means most uncurable disease. So now there are 200 medicines. That means now the what is called oncologists are really baffled. That means they do not know what to prescribe for what symptoms and all those things. So it is always a chance in that way. And I have heard that oncologists actually give up their practice for that because they cannot really, they are not certain what will cure what type of cancer. It has happened like that. So the point is that if you do not have medicine, you have faith in medicine, actually it will not cure you. Of course, you know, Tylenol is a very common medicine and every doctor or even it is OTC, so you can take that. But you will find that After some time it becomes a placebo. That means nothing is cured, but you have to take something for that, so you take that, and in that way the medicine continues. Probably it works for somebody, new persons, those who did not know, but those who are accustomed to taking medicine, then we will go for ibuprofen or aspirin and such other things, because they are not working. So it depends upon the faith also. Then places of pilgrimage, that people go to the places of pilgrimage. Even Swami Vivekananda and all the direct disciples, even Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, they went for in different places of pilgrimage, because they feel, they have faith that for thousands of years people have come there and do spiritual practice, they had illumination, and there are many stories associated with that. So that will be helpful. That means they will gain spiritually from that, by going to that place, visiting that place, performing certain rites there. In that way they do. And they also definitely benefit in that way. You'll find many people have spiritual illumination. Or, for example, if you go to Dakshineshwar Kali temple, you will feel the atmosphere, because Sri Ramakrishna had his own illumination there. That means he used to see Mother Kali there. So in that way, the places of pilgrimage are the centers of faith for many people. That means those who are religious and really seekers. Then, of course, gods and goddesses are. In Hinduism, we know so many gods and goddesses are there. Why? The reason is that for certain benefit, one aspect of God is really helpful. Ganesha, Ganesha is very well known in this country, because Ganesha is considered to be a remover of obstacles and a giver of success. Everybody needs that in their lives. So the form of Ganesha, that means God's form in Ganesha actually, is very popular. You'll find in traditional shops or offices even, you'll find that there is an image of Ganesha in India, because people believe that if Ganesha is there, if they pay respect, or in front of Ganesha if they do something, actually there will be no obstacle. Success will come. So the faith in gods and goddesses are also an object of what is called great faith. That works. In that way it is they are there. So Sri Ramakrishna, as you know, he did worship our Divine Mother, and ordinary priests also do worship. That means thousands of priests are doing, but they do not see God. That means they do not see the God or goddess whom they are worshipping. It is a matter of just a profession. But in case of Sri Ramakrishna, it was a deep faith. He actually wanted to explore that what he is doing, actually I have to see the end of it, whether it is working or not, whether it works or not, whether I am just doing mechanically things. So he had the great faith, thinking of the great predecessors. Actually he started doing with deep faith, he started doing spiritual practice and worship and all those things. Then actually he had the success. Then also sacred words. That means sacred words are important in all religion. If a teacher gives, or if you get some sacred word and you know that this sacred word has helped in the life of many persons, then actually you will value that. And it is entirely faith. But if a teacher gives, so according to teacher's capacity or tradition, or even by comparing the scriptures and all those things, if you know that this sacred word will work for you, then that will work. And if you do not have, actually it will not work. That is the point. So one has to have faith, and that will give success in the what is called in the sacred words. And of course in spiritual teachers also, as you know, Girish Ghosh is a very great example. Even Swami Vivekananda also you can say. That means he actually did not accept Sri Ramakrishna as such, because he was a young person and studies what is called science and all those things. So at that time it was almost unbelievable that a young person should have faith in God. So in case of Swami Vivekananda, you see that he had to wrestle with Sri Ramakrishna for a long time, because he saw Sri Ramakrishna has so deep faith and people are really getting benefit, but he could not really accept that. And ultimately at the time of death, that means at the last moment, actually he ultimately believed what is called in Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna means what Sri Ramakrishna was, Sri Ramakrishna revealed to him, and in that way he had faith in him, and ultimately he faith in what is called in spirituality and God. So these are the areas, if we keep in mind, that we can really, according to our own faith, we can get the success. So if we want success, naturally we have to figure out that whether I have a total faith or we have deep faith in this area. Suppose a doctor. Doctor means it is called what is called a physician, and whom actually I'm visiting. There are physicians you may believe, but other person may not have faith. It happens like that. I know that I go to a physician. Many people say that, well, he's an old-fashioned. Old-fashioned means that he does not really recognize tests and all those things too much. But I know that his medicine works for me. Then I think that is all right. That means if he does not ask me to go for such test, if I'm okay, then why I should really change my physician? So it is a matter of faith. Now, from the spiritual point of view, as I told you, that means for success in spiritual life, faith is important, and there are ways in which actually faith can be increased also. First, you have to find out that what I like. That means if this path is okay for me, and I shall be able to stick to it for a long time. But at the beginning, at this stage, I do not have that much. I do not know much, but still it is attracting me. So if there is any way by which actually we can really go deeper and have more faith in it. So as you know that faith will work, and ultimately you will progress in spirituality. So there are other ways that has been said in our scriptures. First is that company of holy persons. That means those who are in the same line. That is why you go to different schools, That means this person is knowledgeable. And when you select a school or when you go to a certain class, and you know that this person has got this reputation, he has produced so many papers, and he has got so many prizes, then automatically your faith goes into the teacher. And then actually, by company with him, that means by association with him, you learn things. In spirituality, it is also like that. In spirituality, you go to a teacher, and teacher will say that these are the things I know, and these are things by which actually I am benefited, and these are the things that has been said in the scriptures. If you follow, and it will work for you. So holy company, that means the directions we can find from the teachers. Then of course reading scriptures. So teachers are not available in many places, or satisfactory. That means probably you may not find a good teacher yourself. So under such circumstances, what to do? Reading of the scriptures are very helpful. That means spirituality. In spirituality, if you read scriptures, then depth will come. By applying your mind, you will be able to figure out what is really true and what is really not true from the point of view of spirituality, what has to be given up and what needs to be followed, what is to be accepted. So in that way, scriptures will give you the direction, and in that way actually faith will increase. And direction in a sense, that means according to different paths, there are different scriptures, and also the scriptures have been followed. Scriptures are nothing but the in general you can say sayings of the previous followers. That means those who are successful in following a path, they have their teachings or their experience has come down to us in the form of scriptures, and in that way actually we can develop our own faith. Then of course it has been said that if you follow your swadharma means in ancient times there was different caste, as you know. I always tell that, and it is still in a sense your propensities. If you have your own path, that means suppose you are a professor or something like that, so you want to get certain knowledge, so you continue to in that path, and ultimately you will find persons who will be helpful in directing you to the more further progress. In that way it also happens, especially in professional field it happens. Then of course concentration, as you know, yoga and all those things that we practice, meditation and all those things, that is also helpful in practice, that will increases faith. Now ultimately, as it has been said that faith is the summum of our existence, and we can take help of faith under different circumstances. And you will find that we take unknowingly help of our faith. That means suppose you are traveling in a country and you are in distress, and if you say that yes, I am coming from America, then actually you find that people will start respecting you. But if you say that, well, I am coming from some East European countries, you may not find that their people are very much what is called giving that much respect. It may happen like that because you know you have the identity with some strong force, and that brings faith in you, and in that way actually you can face difficult situations, and you are accepted. As you know, very mundane example, the what is called the passport of United States is accepted in many countries. That means without any question, if you are, you don't need visa even to enter into that country. Many countries. That means you just buy a ticket and you have passport and land in that country and you are accepted. Nobody will check anything. Just that passport will take you. But of course there are certain countries who will not accept. But the reason is that faith, that people know that this country is so great, so powerful, and there will be no difficulty in accepting this person in our country, or if he is a traveler, we need to help him, whatever it may be. The purpose of the passport is that you represent that country. So it is a matter of faith. So let me quote a few things in our day-to-day life. That means faith in yourself also has been said by Swami Vivekananda, which is the starting point of our journey. If somebody does not have faith in oneself, actually he will not have success in the life. So you have to have strong faith. As I told you that if you do not have faith in yourself, you have to borrow it from somewhere. That I told you at the beginning, the story of that child who said that I have my mother. So in that way, the faith has to be cultivated within ourselves. So Swami Vivekananda in many places has emphasized the effect of faith in our personal life. Here, just one quote. The ideal of faith in ourselves is of the greatest help to us. If faith in ourselves had been more extensively taught and practiced, I am sure a very large portion of the evils and miseries that we have would have vanished. That means he himself is saying that I have this faith, that if faith is cultivated in individuals, and most of the miseries, or large number of miseries, and also evils will automatically go away. For getting away the miseries and evils, actually you have to take help of many, what is called others helps. So that will not be necessary. Throughout the history of mankind, if any motive power has been more potent than another in the lives of great men and women, it is that of faith in themselves. You see, if you read the biographies of great persons, you will find that they had great faith. And the greatest faith actually find in the lives of the incarnations. They had faith that we can change the world. Unknowingly, that means their actions and faith were so manifest in themselves, the motive power, that means the power that through which actually they moved or they had left, actually still working, that they had the greatest faith in themselves. Born with the consciousness that they were to be great, they became great. What to say our lesser important persons? You see in the life of Abraham Lincoln or Mahatma Gandhi, you will find such persons have great faith in what actually the mission that they had to accomplish. So in that way we see that faith is pervasive. We cannot live without faith, and also if we cultivate faith, and most of the miseries of our life will be taken care of.